What's up? What's going on, everybody? And welcome once again to my film physics commentary revisit series where I like to go over my old film physics videos. If you are somewhat familiar with these videos that I've put out on the internet like 3 years ago now, where I basically analyze the science in film. And I am, of course, your host, Brandon Hanna. And today we're talking about King Kong. Could he exist? Maybe, maybe not. You know the answer already. But before we get into all that, today I'm joined by a guest. Yes, I am joined by the amazingly talented writer, host, film pundit extraordinaire herself. You know her from First Cut, The Meaning of Podcast, SEN Live, and soon to be the Movie Trivia Schmodown. It's Sabrina Ramirez. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. I'm excited. I know nothing about science, so this is really cool. I haven't seen the video either, so this is like a first-time commentary type of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm like, we talked about it a little bit. Like, I'm like a little nervous because this is like Brandon 3 years ago, or like especially this episode in particular. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm kind of just like angry. You know, like I'm like yelling into the microphone. I don't know why I'm mad about King Kong.
You were going through something. It's fine.
I was going through something at the time. It was, that was a weird night, but we won't get into all that. I got it done. I stayed up late that night. I shot it. I edited it. That's always so hard for me to say. I got that out on the internet, and here it is for us to look back on. And yes, hopefully it's not too cringeworthy. So I think what we're going to do here first is we're just going to watch it. And yes, this week I do have sound. I believe I figured out how to get the sound. So let me know in the comment section below if there's no sound, or the live stream, the chat thing. You know how the internet works. This is YouTube. We've been here before. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. Oh, we got William Belford in the chat. I just want to bring attention to William Belford, Schmodown fan legend, Action Army legend himself. He says film physics is the bomb. Is this film physics or film zoology? Ooh, that is interesting. I'm going to say there's definitely some physics that I get into, but then there's also, we can talk about, there's like some like anatomy stuff as well that like is not my like field of expertise. I'm more of a physics guy. But there's some stuff that we can get into there. And Belford also saying, Brandon 3 years ago is quality Brandon. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I mean, I didn't know you 3 years ago, but I didn't know either of you 3 years ago.
Yeah, whatever. Well, we're complimenting you. So
you're like, yeah, that's the best version of Brandon is the one that I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite version. So yeah, we're just going to watch the whole thing first. And then Sabrina, I guess you've never seen it. So we'll get your first overall thoughts, your reaction to it, and we will go from there. So without further ado, hopefully this works. There I am. Look at how angry I look. Horrible.
Little baby Brandon.
Well, I don't know about baby.
Young baby Brandon.
All right. Hitting play. Can we hear this? Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome to Film Physics, the show where we combat scientific literacy by holding filmmakers accountable for their blatant disregard for scientific accuracy. And I've got a bone to pick with King Kong, and I do mean that one literally. If you're a living, breathing person alive in the year 2017, you're probably familiar with the famed Hollywood monster from the classic 1933 film, as well as several sequels and remakes that it inspired. My problem with this classic movie monster has to do with the mathematical properties of scaling. We're going to take a closer look at how this principle works by scaling up a cube. Let's say we have a cube with a length L. The surface area of that cube is 6 times L to the power of 2, or 6L squared. And its volume is L to the power of 3, or L cubed. Get that? Because it's 6 squares that create 1 cube. Let me give you a moment to process that. So dumb. Now let's scale this cube up by a factor of x. When we do this, we can see that the length L is directly proportional to the square root of the area and the cubic root of the volume. What this means is that when scaling an object, the volume of the object increases at a faster rate than the surface area. Now this doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it is. You see, a long time ago, my boy, Galileo, realized that simple geometric scaling does not work when you take into account the mechanical strength of structures. In this case, he's referring to bone strength. We know that for bones, compressive failure occurs at a strength of about 2 times 10 to the 8 pascals, or newtons per meter squared for my fellow Americans. Most animals produce stresses nearly this high during regular, vigorous activity. This means that evolution made our bones just strong enough to support whatever activities we perform in our day-to-day lives. This is why athletes are constantly breaking their bones. They're always pushing the limits beyond what their bodies are designed for. We'll get back to this in a second. For now, let's take a look at King Kong. We know from the original film that Kong is about 10 times larger than your average gorilla. This means Kong's volume has increased by a factor of 1,000. Since volume is proportional to weight, this makes him 1,000 times heavier than your average gorilla. We also know that bone strength is directly proportional to its cross-sectional area. This is crucial when looking at Kong's bones. When scaling them up, we see that Kong's bone cross-sectional area, and therefore his bone strength, would be 100 times that of the average gorilla. This is a massive problem, because it needs to be 1,000 times that just to account for the extreme change in body mass. In conclusion, Kong would be crushed under his own body weight. His bones would simply not be strong enough to support himself. And let's not even talk about the latest King Kong film, where he's 1,000 times the size of a normal gorilla. He would weigh so much in that film, you'd probably just see a puddle of Kong goo sitting somewhere in the jungle of Skull Island.
The airplane's coming. Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast.
Nope. Just science.
Yes, science!
Well, this wraps up part 1 of my scaling lesson. Be sure to keep a lookout for part 2, where I attempt to ruin another classic movie monster. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for taking time out of your day for this moment of science. And you better like, comment, and subscribe.
Oof. So angry.
Baby Brandon. Oh my gosh. He's so smart.
You mess up on the camera. Why do I always mess up on the camera?
Okay. See? Even behind the scenes, I was angry. Look at that. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're a smart cookie. I don't know what I don't know really. Like, I get when you dumb it down, I can kind of follow what is happening, so I get the whole point of like the bone and stuff, but like at the end of the day, I mean, it's like I'm kind of hurt because it's like Big Monkey can't exist.
Big Monkey's
not real.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, that's really, from all of that beauty that I was seeing on screen, all of the numbers and stuff like that, that just goes into my eyes and then like doesn't get absorbed. It just keeps going back into the air. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Maybe you should make a King Kong movie and figure out how big he can be before he's too big.
Yeah, I mean, well, he could probably only be the size of a regular sized gorilla. I
Really?
think is. Yeah, I think that's yeah, because I think I talk about it in the video, right? Like, it's all about like evolution, like our bodies evolve to be a certain way. Like, so a gorilla has evolved to be a certain size, and if you just take that design, I guess, if you want to call it, and just scale it up, it's not going to work anymore because of this whole scaling factor. I think like a way to describe it that might make sense is if like because I say in the video that when you scale something up, the surface area increases at a smaller rate than the volume of the object. So like the proportions become off. Like, so for instance, let's say if you're like drinking a beverage and you have a bunch of small ice cubes in it compared to one really big ice cube, you know, sometimes you get like an old fashioned or something and they put like a giant ice ball in it. And that ball of that big ball of ice isn't going to melt as quickly as the tiny ice cubes because there's more volume per surface area, and the only way the heat can escape is through the surface area. So, I guess in this case, it would penetrate the ice. So it can only penetrate it. The heat can only go into the ice through the surface area. So if it's smaller compared to the volume, it's going to take a lot longer to melt. Does that make sense at all?
No. It does make sense. It's just something that I don't think about ever because
Yeah.
I don't have that
Mhm.
brain for that kind of stuff. I watch movies. I go, wow, big. I'm just like, wow, cool explosions, things like that. I don't really take all of that kind of into consideration, into account, which I think is really cool that you do on your film physics. I want to see a new one. I want to see a new episode, brand new episode of Film Physics. Are you going to do that, Brandon, Hanna? Are you going to give us some more?
I don't know. Maybe.
I feel like
Maybe-
you should. I see. Oh my God, there was a really great comment. Will McLean said, I need Brandon to explain Endgame's time travel to me because I just don't fully get it. I think that's a really great idea. I think you should take that on because like, not that I believe it for the film because it's a movie, but it's like, could it be possible? And I'm excited for you to tell us no, it wouldn't.
Well, with something like that, like you have to like suspend your disbelief to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So like I could like logically try to explain it, but I don't know if I could like prove or disprove it with actual science.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It's it is complicated because you could talk about like, oh, like for instance, if you were to talk about Planet of the Apes, like spoiler alert, they're in the future at the end of the movie. It's future Earth. I know, it just came out, but
Come on, man. Don't ruin it.
And that all has to do with Einstein's theory of relativity, which is something that I get into in like I think my Star Wars video. I talk about that a little bit, or one of my Star Wars videos. But like, yeah, so that's something like that. It's like, oh, I can use actual like science to like say, hey, this is actually like what they're doing and all that stuff. But like Endgame, yeah, I don't know. They're like talking about like quantum mechanics. Nobody really like quantum physics is that's something entirely different.
Is that where you draw your smart person line? So you're just better than us in certain areas, but that's where there's people that are better than you. Yeah.
Well, the thing about quantum physics, it's like it's completely different than regular physics. Like this, like scaling is a very basic physics problem that like you can like do an experiment in the lab and be like, oh yeah, I can physically touch this and see this and like make calculations and it all checks out. But like quantum mechanics and quantum physics, like when things get that small, like Ant-Man stuff, which I do have an Ant-Man video that we will
small boy. Can small boy exist? I guess you'll go over it in the future.
Yeah, I mean I'll go over it in the future, but no, Ant-Man, not real. But yeah, so quantum physics, it's completely different. Like different types of like just things behave differently when you get that small, which is like they do kind of get into that in like Ant-Man and Avengers Endgame. But yeah, King Kong's a little more basic, which is like why it's like a fun video I think to try to do. And yeah, let's see. Oh, we got like a good amount of people in the chat here today. We got PLD. Saying Brandon is here to crush all our dreams, just like when he told us the umbrella copter wouldn't work in Batman Returns. Yes, I will be doing the Batman Returns episode as well, and of course, I would be remiss if I did not bring on Janine the Machine to do that one. So wait for that. That's the last Film Physics episode I ever did, so it's going to be a few weeks until we get there, but it is coming. Let's see. William Belford has a lot of questions that I ignored for a while here. He asked, does his volume or his mass matter more? Well, they're like proportional to one another. So like the bigger his volume, the more his mass is also going to increase, which is something that is not the case in Ant-Man, which is what makes Ant-Man interesting because we're going to go over this in a couple weeks, but they explain it in the movie. His mass stays the same, which creates a major problem, which you'll have to wait and see. Or you could check out the video that already exists right now on my channel. A lot of people calling me nerds, say math. I'm out. Nobody told me there would be math. Guys, math is fun. I don't know what you're talking about.
Math is not fun. Oh, math is easy. No.
It's so easy.
I'm like a decently smart person. I'm a semi-smart person. But yeah, all of that kind of all those like equations and stuff, it's like, woo. I just watch you do it and I watch you talk and I'm like, okay, yes, I believe him. I don't know what any of the proof means,
Mhm.
the proof that's out there, but I believe you.
Thank you for believing in me.
Yeah.
William Belford has a question. What kind of cookie is the smartest cookie? Do you have an answer for that?
Like what flavor? Ooh. Oh my God. I would honestly say chocolate chip because it's the most simple and delicious one at the same time.
Mhm.
Like if we, you know what, let's bring some little visuals into this. If there was like a thing and we could see the correlation between how good a cookie is and also how simple it is, I feel like the one that would be perfectly on that is the chocolate chip cookie. It's the most simple and good cookie at the same time. So that's what I think. What do you think?
I think I would be inclined to agree. I do like a good chocolate chip cookie, you know?
Yeah, and it's simple.
Yeah, it's simple and smart.
Yeah.
The smartest.
So you're a chocolate chip cookie. I'm like an oatmeal raisin at best.
Hey, people love oatmeal raisins too. So something else, guys. Oh, well, first of all, I do have my notes here. I like to show you guys my notes from when I like wrote these episodes. So like basically this is everything that ended up either in the script or on screen. Oops, see, I even got the follow-up episode. You know what's coming next. It's Jurassic Park, guys. Yes. Because that was actually, if you guys want to examine this is basically just what I went over in the video. But yeah, Belford in here asked about dinosaurs. He was like, hey, well, according to this, dinosaurs must not have been real. But you see, the thing about dinosaurs is they were like a product of evolution. They evolved to be that big. Gorillas never evolved to be as big as King Kong, so they don't work. Like the reasons dinosaurs work is because through nature, like they were designed, I guess if you want to use that word, to work. If they didn't work, then they would have gone extinct a lot sooner than they did.
So I have a question then. Can gorillas evolve to be as big as King Kong one day? Is it possible for Big Monkey to be real?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because like the thing, like, I mean, like not to get too much into like evolution and all that.
So they lied to us. Filmmakers lie to us. That's what I could take from this series.
Filmmakers are dirty, rotten liars. But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Oh.
What? Oh, she's frozen now, guys. Oh, this isn't good. What's going on here? Well, basically, oh, wait. Oh, you're back? What?
I'm back. I'm back. It froze for a sec.
Okay. You're back. So the thing about dinosaurs, and I do get into this in the next episode where I talk about Jurassic Park, is like even something as big as the T-Rex, like it's not like it's running around like climbing buildings, you know, like swinging from trees or what have you. Like it can only move so fast before its bones break. But the thing about like, let's say like, okay, first of all, like there's no reason that like if like let's say there's like a random mutation and like one gorilla grows up really big, like big monkey. There's no reason that would give a gorilla an evolutionary advantage. And we actually do see this in like human beings. Some people, like if you look at like Ripley's Believe It or Not, Guinness World Record type stuff, there have been people that have been born that have grown like 8 feet tall, like 7 feet, like really ridiculously tall people. And that normally correlates with a lot of health issues because like human beings, like their organs like are not meant to be that big. So like even like the main thing I bring up is King Kong's bone density. Like his bones would have to be like 1,000 times denser in order to be as big as he is in the film. But aside from that, even like a gorilla's organs are not designed to function that big. And that also brings into like the whole like kind of like the Ice Cube example, where like if you have a gorilla heart and you scale it up, its volume, the way that it's supposed to work, it's not going to work anymore because now its volume is like significantly larger in proportion to its surface area, and it's going to have a ridiculously difficult time functioning properly and pumping blood throughout the body. And like the same could be true for like the other organ functions as well. It's just not going to work. It's going
So
to
King
die.
Kong has a big heart.
King Kong has a massive
It's a
heart.
huge heart. That's a sweet boy.
Yes, that's the main takeaway. King Kong has a massive heart.
He's just kind. Dwayne in the chat.
Yeah, I'm reading his comment now. It's possible, but the other species that would have to die out in order to balance the tax on the ecosystem would be astronomical. Well, I don't think you're wrong there. I don't know how well I could speak on that, but
I can't speak on it at all. So good for you guys.
mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm seeing like, so yeah, definitely I wanted to talk about, because that's something I didn't address in the video the first time around, is organ function and all that and how that works. Even if somehow his bones were dense enough to where they wouldn't break every time he moved, because that's exactly what would happen because he would weigh so much. But somehow, let's say you wave a magic wand, boom, your bone density, King Kong, it's the strongest thing, harder than diamonds. It's the, you know, it's the strongest thing ever. But like, his organs still would probably, they would not function properly, and he would probably die very quickly.
Oh no.
Yes.
And we don't want that.
We don't want that.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. He's got too big of a heart. Come on.
He has too big of a heart. He's a sweet boy. Sweet.
So I mean, Sabrina, do you have any more thoughts or questions on this topic?
It actually is really cool. Like I really think it's really interesting what you're doing with film physics, or what you did with film physics, and you're revisiting now, which I think you should continue on, because I think I think you have a lot to work with, especially over the last like year or so, just in terms of like the films that have come out. But yeah, it's really cool because it's something that I never really like. Sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, oh, could this actually happen? I don't know, I'm just enjoying this. But like actually highlighting it and seeing if there's a way. And I've watched a few of them, but like, you don't have to say which one, but are there any where it's like kind of accurate? Like, or do you always choose ones that you kind of know are probably not accurate?
I want to try to find a balance, right? Because it's fun to be like, hey, like filmmakers, you got this right. So like I just did Titanic, for example. That was the very first episode I ever did, and that was one where they got it right, where like, hey, like Jack could have fit on that floating board too, and they would have both floated together, and he wouldn't have like froze to death. But it's not true. If he hopped on that board, it would have sank. And like that's even something that they did. They did a whole episode of Mythbusters about it. Like they proved it, like not just theoretically, but they did the experiments. And they're like, yeah, no, wouldn't work. So that was one where like, hey, kudos to you, James Cameron. You got that one right. But then even like I think I did was probably like my laziest, worst video was the episode I did on A Quiet Place. That was another one where I was like, hey, they like took this cool scientific principle and they did something neat with it. And like, it works. So I try to do that. I'm trying to think, oh, well, this is kind of an interesting one. Like not to, I guess, I mean, like these videos are already out on the internet, so I'm just gonna like kind of like talk about it anyway. Even though next week I will be doing Jurassic Park, and I believe Genie the Machine is going to come on for that as well, because of our. And I see here in the chat here, we do have a shared passion for Jurassic Park as well. But the Tyrannosaurus Rex, this is one where the movies kind of contradict one another. One movie got it right, one movie got it wrong. Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park, I forget, I should have written this down because I didn't expect to be talking about it today, but like the Hammond is like, oh yeah, we clocked the T-Rex at like 36 miles per hour or something like that, and it chases after the Jeep in that one scene where like Jeff Goldblum's in the back, must go faster, must go faster. That's ridiculous. Like a T-Rex can't run that fast. It would have definitely broken its legs 100%. Like
Really?
Can't run that fast. But in Jurassic World, when everyone was like, oh, that's fake, Bryce Dallas Howard could never outrun a T-Rex in her high heels. Well, Bryce Dallas Howard, if you can run faster than 12 miles per hour in your high heels, you can outrun a T-Rex, because T-Rexes are slow.
12 miles an hour, though.
Yeah.
That's pretty fast running. If somebody could do that in high heels.
I don't know. I believe it. I believe Bryce Dallas Howard could do it.
I don't. Have you worn heels, Brandon?
No, but that's why I
Exactly.
couldn't do it. But she has worn heels. She has the experience.
I've been wearing
needed.
heels for like 7 years. I could tell you, I don't think I could run 12 miles an hour. Also, there's other reasons why I probably can't run 12 miles an hour, but
you don't think if a Tyrannosaurus Rex was chasing after you, you don't think you could do it?
I feel like I'd just give up. I'd accept my fate at that point.
Really?
I would maybe go for like 30 seconds and then I'd be like, all right, like, where am I going to go? How far am I going to run? You got to take all of that into account. And I know this is like the episode for next week, so I don't want to talk too much about dinosaurs. Yeah. But like, how far can you possibly even run? When are you going to escape the T-Rex? It's always going to be there. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't make it. So.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It definitely is. It's an interesting thing, but for some reason I always just kind of assumed King Kong would be okay. You know what? I'm gonna take this back a little bit.
What?
Definitely not like the Skull Island King Kong or anything, but I'm like, oh, maybe there could just be like bigger gorillas, not the size of King Kong or anything. But you've proven today that nope, gorillas are the right size the way they are.
Yes, they're just the right size the way they are. Like, yeah, like even then, like I couldn't even see them evolving to be larger, even if they did increase their bone density, even if like somehow like their organs like evolved to where like they were different shapes and sizes to where they could function at that size, at that scale. Even if somehow miraculously all that happened, there is just no evolutionary advantage for a gorilla to be that big.
But if it's just one gorilla,
you know, it's kind of like in the Meg, right? Where like megalodons don't exist anymore because there's no evolutionary advantage for a shark to be that freaking big. Like, and that's what is, I'm just going to spoil that movie because that movie's dumb. But literally, how does the Meg get killed in that movie? It gets eaten by a bunch, like thousands of tiny sharks, because smaller sharks have an evolutionary advantage. And that's why, like, it was the dumbest line in the movie where like, they're like, Jason Statham, how are we going to kill the megalodon? And he's just like, evolution. And then all the other sharks come and it's dumb. It's the worst thing ever. But he got that part right, I guess.
I fell asleep during that movie.
He got that part right.
Bad film critic. I'm like, I fell asleep.
I think I've talked about it on this channel before, but that was the first film that I ever saw in the Cinema Dome at the ArcLight.
Oh.
That's the first one I ever saw there.
An interesting one. I think mine, I didn't even start, okay, I know this is so off topic. I didn't start going to ArcLight until I met Andres, because he's the biggest ArcLight championer. Like, he doesn't go see a movie unless it's at ArcLight. So I think it was like Jojo Rabbit maybe or something. So pretty recent. Oh, no, wait, that's a lie. Avengers Infinity War with Joe and Anthony Russo like 2 years ago. Anyways, whatever.
Oh, yeah, you just went with the two of them? Yeah, just hanging out.
Yeah, it was the three of us, and they were like, oh, let's go see our own movie. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then I was like, wait, would that work? Would that work? Let me ask Brandon, Hanna. And then I texted you really quick. So yeah.
Definitely. Anthony and Joe, we're like this.
Yeah, we're homies.
We do a BCD asking, would you do a film physics for Arrival? I want to see how you would break it down. It is one of the few films I feel gets science, time travel accurate, despite not knowing the science behind it. Time travel is interesting, right? Because like, obviously, if we had time travel figured out, we'd probably be time traveling right now. So like, obviously, scientifically, it's really hard.
How do you know that we're not, though?
It's really hard to prove or disprove anything. Well, I don't know. Maybe somewhere someone figured it out. They're not telling anyone because they're being responsible. Because time travel is a terrible idea. But there's like a couple ways you can go about time travel logically and still have it make sense. Like, I actually do think Endgame, it logically, the way they explain it in the film, it checks out. Although, like, we did have like, there was like a couple like mild spoilers with the Captain America stuff at the end. There was like the directors and the writers had two different explanations for what happened time travel wise there. And I agreed with the directors, but not the writers. The writers' explanation, I was like, that doesn't make any sense with the logic that you've laid out in the film. But like, even like Back to the Future, like, I don't think that's how time travel would work, but they like set up the logic in the film. They're like, in the universe, this is what this logic, in our universe, this is what this logic is. So they're like, okay, like that's kind of what you got to do in movies. It's just be like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what they've established the logic is. As long as they don't contradict it, it's okay. So like sometimes you could have, when someone goes back in time, this has nothing to do with King Kong, but here we are. Someone goes back in time, like I feel like you can go the route of, oh, it branched off and created a new timeline, and logically that checks out. But also you could do another version, which is kind of like what they do in Arrival, where they're like, time isn't a straight line, it's a circle, and like everything like that has happened or ever will happen, like you can't undo it. It's actually, that's something that's even said in Lost, where they'd also get into time travel. Whatever happened happened. If you go back in time, you were already like back in time, you just didn't know it, but like you went back there anyway. So it's like it's kind of wishy-washy, but there's a couple ways you could do it in film where I'll be like, okay, that makes sense.
What's your opinion about or on About Time?
The film About Time?
Yeah.
The time travel in it, or my opinion of the movie?
No, the time travel. Give me your review right now. Now we're in my territory. Give me your review of About Time. Okay.
I enjoyed the movie.
It's a great movie.
Time travel wise, it is interesting because he like goes back and he changes stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of wishy-washy when you look at it like logically, but at the same time, they established this is what the logic is in our universe at the beginning, and they never strayed away from it. So as a fan of film, I'm like, okay, that's what it is. Suspend my disbelief for the rest. Enjoy it. But do I think that's how time travel would work? No, especially because like even like there's like a huge like fantasy factor in that, right? Like he's not using a time machine. He just like has this superpower to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you know.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, you have to suspend your disbelief, so you could just go off into the corner and cry at the rest of it just because it's so beautiful. So, I mean, it did its job.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Check it out. Check it out.
Check out About Time.
Check out About Time.
Years old. We're like, hey, have you guys seen About Time? If not, watch it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about this movie that came out like a decade ago. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. If anybody in the chat has any more questions, maybe specifically about King Kong, the whole scaling factor thing that I explained, let me know. We'll give it a few more moments. If not, I don't know. Do we need to revisit anything in the video? Is there anything you want to go back and watch particularly? Or it's up to you, Sabrina.
In the video? Oh my God. I would have to watch the video probably like 18 times just to try to like pay attention to the equations. That's probably what it is. But honestly, you do a really, really great job of like getting the point across for somebody who doesn't really understand that kind of stuff. You do a really good job of like explaining it and all of that. So with like the visuals with the cube and everything, I loved all of that. And the bones.
The bones, my little bone drawings that I also have here.
Bone drawings. That was something.
Let's bring the bone drawings back for a second here. Oh, they're not as nice in the sketchbook as they are on screen. I didn't do the little shadow effect, you know, the little dashes.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that's basically like when you look at the scaling of a cube thing that I have here, it's basically, you know, like the note that I have, note length is proportional to volume to area, and it's a cube versus square. When you scale something up, that just changes everything. And that's the bottom line when it comes to like bone density or how organs function or whatever. That's the main problem right there with scaling, which is something that like you don't really think about in day-to-day life. But then like I remember what inspired me to do this episode was my physics teacher in high school was the one who brought this to my attention when we talked about scaling. And he's like, yeah, King Kong's bullshit. I'm like, what? Big monkey not real?
Big monkey fake?
Big monkey fake?
Big monkey can't exist.
It can't exist. So that was my inspiration for doing King Kong, was something that my physics teacher in high school said to me once. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's something I never thought about. And that's kind of like what got me into physics in the first place. Was I took that class in high school, and like the teacher was a pretty cool guy, you know, we watched Speed in class. You know, Speed.
Hmm.
I could do that. I thought about doing Speed as a video as well, but that's another thing that was covered on Mythbusters, and I don't want to like rehash stuff that's already out there if I can avoid it.
Is there one that we could do a science experiment on? I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. A whole like straight up like 7th grade science fair type of like thing, like experiment. I would like to be a part of that. So if you do it, please invite me.
Will do. Yeah, there may be something we could do. We'll have to think about it. Something safe. I know, like, I was gonna wait to talk about this next week, but like Janine said in the chat, we were gonna test the T-Rex thing. Like, that was like a dumb idea that we had. We're like, all right, Janine, like, we're gonna put you in heels. See if you can run faster than 12 miles per hour.
Stop!
Don't die. Don't break your nose. Don't fall over. You know, like,
I feel like Janine could better than I could.
Yeah.
She totally could.
So that's maybe not the safest experiment in the world. Don't try that at home. That's why we didn't end up doing it.
Well, how were you? Oh, you were just going to have her run?
Yeah.
In my mind, it was like chase with a car that's going 12 miles per hour.
like run between like, you know, like you have a run between two distances, do the math, figure out what her average speed was. If it's less than 12 miles per hour, then she can outrun a T-Rex.
Will McLean said, is Kong and Skull Island just as physically incorrect in the same way or different?
Yeah, let's maybe even worse, because like in Skull Island, he almost has like a more like humanoid like type like his posture is more upright, and he's like his limbs are more proportional to, I think, a person's and not a gorilla. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you still have all the same problems. He would have to have the most dense bones in the universe to support his own body weight. And yeah, all those organs would be failing immediately. There's no way he'd be able to pump all that blood like throughout his body adequately. It would be a nightmare. Just not real.
It's not real, guys.
Just not real, guys. Well, thank you, BCD. Said my drawing is not that bad. Yeah, BCD is correct. The biggest takeaway for me about this live stream is Big Monkey. I am now making it a hashtag. Hashtag Big Monkey. Hashtag Big Monkey Fake.
Big Monkey Fake, guys.
Yeah.
Big Monkey is fake.
Big Monkey is, in fact, fake. BCD also said, I do not want to see beardless Brandon again.
Then I feel like you can't watch any of the other film physics commentaries because I think you're beardless in all of them.
I'm beardless in all of them. The beard is a very recent development in my life.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try, you know.
Yeah, you have a very great beard.
Oh, great beard. Wow.
Yeah. It kind of like, you know, because sometimes like some people can't grow out a beard. You can. You're one of those that can. So
I never thought I could, to be honest, until I tried. I think for the longest time, even Janine was like, Brandon, you should try growing out a beard. And I was like, no. And then.
What made you do it?
I don't know. I think I kind of I had a rough few months and I just gave up for a while. And it just naturally happened. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wait.
Keeping this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to see no beardless Brandon. No, I'm kidding. No. Either way is great, but beard for sure.
Hashtag no beardless Brandon. So yeah, I feel like I've like done a horrible job of explaining this. I don't know. Are we doing okay?
Did really great.
Does this make sense? Yeah. Oh, I like kind of like sidetracked myself, but yeah. High school physics, that was it. That was what not only inspired this particular topic, but inspired me to like get into like science and engineering in general. Because before that, and that's like the interesting thing is like, I'm like so into like, I think I'm very passionate about science, but like before I took physics in high school, I wasn't at all. I was like, science, kind of dumb. Like biology, like chemistry, never my thing at all. But then physics, like, and this is a great example of that. It made me look at the world differently. You're like, oh, like that's how that works. Like something you wouldn't even think about, scaling. You're like, oh, like, and you could like mathematically prove that the volume and the surface area increase at different ratios. They're not like proportional to one another. That's something that like you wouldn't even think about. And then you're like, oh, like, and you start viewing the world a little differently. And that's kind of what inspired me to get into engineering, and of course inspired this particular topic. Was literally one day, I'll never forget, like just this one conversation I had with my teacher, and here we are right now, almost 40 minutes into this stream. So so many years later.
That's beautiful. Sweet story.
Let's see, BCD talking about my beard some more. Way better than mine. I'm only growing a goatee and it is terrible, very scraggly. What do you suggest to keep your beard from growing better and keeping it clean? Well, welcome to Brandon Hanna Beard Talk.
Beard Talk.
I'm your host, Brandon the Beard Hanna. I like to use, I put beard balm in it every day when I get out of the shower. I have a comb. I like to comb it, you know. It's good. It helps, you know, it's important to also to keep the skin underneath the beard healthy. That's what's really important. So if you can do that, and occasionally I'll put beard oil in it, especially like maybe like if I run out of beard balm, I do have some beard oil. I'm like, okay, I'll put beard oil in it. I prefer the balm, but like, you know, they both have different benefits, you know.
Do you have a tiny comb?
I don't have a tiny comb. It's like a brush. It's like a brush that fits in my hand like that. And I go,
tiny brush. I'm gonna get you a tiny comb just because I want to see you. I just want to see you do it. So
that's just ridiculous. Who does that? But, yeah.
Hey.
Looks good. Yeah. Yeah, and that, you know, keeping it clean. I don't know. Try to keep food and dirt out of it, I guess. I don't know. Shower. You know, wash your face. You know, not too much though, because you don't want to dry out the skin. There's a balance.
Make sure you moisturize your entire face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ferris calling me out. You have no idea what you're talking about. Shut up, Ferris.
It's because you don't have a tiny comb.
It's because I don't have a tiny comb.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh. You know, can't you just let me pretend like I know what I'm talking about, Ferris? Come on. PLD says if I was allowed to grow a beard or goatee, I would, but it might mess up my brand now. Oh yeah, the mustache. That's like, you got to keep the mustache.
Yeah.
You can't not have just the mustache. It's part of your identity. It's part of.
It's a great mustache.
Carla says, my brother is a barber. You have to keep shaving to make it grow. Interesting. I do trim my beard, obviously. I don't just let it. But
you should.
I've been.
I wonder how long it would grow.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But obviously, like I've been shaving for years and years and years, and only recently I started growing out the beards. I don't know. Maybe that helped. I don't know. Ferris calling me out again. This is good. This has gotten way off the rails. King Kong, does he have a beard? No.
He has one big beard.
His whole body's a beard.
His whole body.
Aw, Ferris.
Ferris.
Said he
That's
loved
sweet.
me. Well, I love you too, Ferris. But I also don't. But I do. But I hate you. But I love you. Yeah, so I think I've gone way off the rails. Any final thoughts on physics, King Kong, any of that, Sabrina? Or do you think we summed it up pretty nicely?
Well, I don't know anything that I'm talking about, but I think you summed it up very, very nicely, and you did a really great job. So I'm excited to see the episodes going forward for you, because the way you explain it, it's just really interesting. I'm one of those people where I kind of love learning new things all the time, stuff that I normally wouldn't think about myself or seek out myself. So this is kind of like a really cool, kind of accessible way to learn some really nice things, especially because, you know, I like movies. So this is it. Film physics.
I like movies too.
I
like movies. Yeah, so like I by no means pretend to be an expert in any of this, right? Like I'm not a physicist. I'm not like an actual scientist, but I am a mechanical engineer, and I do have a pretty solid background in physics, in mathematics. So I try to do my best to just at the very least like start up a conversation and like have it like, and making science, talking about science in film, I think is a fun way to talk about science where people can get involved and it's like relatable. So like if like anyone's ever watching and like, Brandon, like Ferris just called me out on all the beard stuff. Like if you're ever watching this and you like actually know more than me and you're like, wow, Brandon, like you kind of like missed this or like you got this wrong, like please like let me know if you're watching live or in the comment section. Like if you want to reach out to me on Twitter or wherever, like let's keep the conversation going. Like let's talk about science. Like I said, that's the bottom line, is to just get people thinking and have a little bit of fun along the way. But Sabrina, thank you so much for joining me here today as my first guest on my film physics commentary series. It was a lot of fun, and it's definitely a little less awkward when it's not by myself. So thank you for being here. Where can
glad to be here and be the voice of the people who don't understand it as well as you do.
Gotta have the voice of the people. Sabrina Ramirez, voice of the people. Voice of the people. Where can the people find their voice online?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Sabrina X Monica, and then on the Twitter account that I just recently started, Sabrina on Film, where I'll kind of be like focusing more on film there. Of course, the First Cut YouTube channel, The Meaning of Podcast with Andres Cabrera and Robert Butler III, Cocktails and Casting with Ben Goddard every Monday. Also, obviously, SEN, Ask Gucci with Finstock. Dang, Mrs. Worldwide over here. I'm everywhere. Y'all can't get rid of me. And also, honestly, I'm just going to announce it right now. I'm starting a Patreon. And so this is the first time I've ever talked about it. I'll be tweeting about it later. But I have a Patreon and I have some really cool ideas. So I'm excited to share that all with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting, as Ryan Gosling would say in La La Land. So be sure to check all that out. You're a very busy person, Sabrina, but we are happy to have you on our YouTube screens and Twitch streams basically every day now.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Definitely. It's a lot, but it's a lot of fun. And honestly, during quarantine, I love doing stuff like this. I love being able to hang out with you virtually, see everybody, all their comments virtually, especially like the beard ones.
Yeah.
It's great.
I don't know what I'm talking about, guys, but somehow I'm making it work, and that's all that matters. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHanna07. Of course, you can find me right here on my very own YouTube channel, youtube.com/BrandonHanna. Please go ahead and like this video. Maybe leave a comment after the fact. I love having you here in the live chat, but of course, comments and likes, all that stuff helps out the algorithm, even though I'm not expecting to get a whole lot of views on these videos, but it's fun to have you here. It's fun to be here. And yeah, hit that little notification bell if you like this and you want to see more, and you don't want to miss next week and the week after that, and so on and so forth, because scheduling wise, I haven't been doing the best job of keeping it consistent lately. That's on me, but we're in this together. So thank you for sticking around. And we have 8 people in the chat right now, which is more than last week. So we can only go up. So thank you so much. And I'm just gonna say it just like I said it in all my film physics video. Thank you for taking time out of your day for this moment of science.